Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to this masterclasses on augmented and virtual reality for the performing arts, organized by the Augmented and Virtual Reality Lab of the University of Salento, within the project Antigone's Pride Performing Society, supported by the Creative Europe program and promoted by Astragali Teatro, with a great partnership, the Grotowski Institute, the Foundation of Dance Alicia Alonso of University of Madrid, Rey Juan Carlos, Theatro Tsi Zakynthos from Greece, and the other countries, Poland and Spain. A project that gathers artists and experts in digital humanities from different countries and has at its core 3 international eco-arts residencies. We have started with the first residence in Spain, in La Alberca and Salamanca. It was a great experience with a very important participation of artists from different countries and with the strong participation of the local community. And now we will continue with the second residence entitled Theater and Conflict that will be held in Brzezinka and Wrocław in Poland and will be coordinated by the Grotowski Institute. This second cycle of online masterclasses somehow starts this second phase of the project and in a path that will lead the international group of involved artists to the In Presence residence in Poland, in very important places for the theater history in the forest of Brzezinka and in Wrocław at the Grotowski sites. So today we're very glad to have very valuable speakers that will talk about this topic of augmented and virtual reality for the performing arts, which is one of the main topics of the project, which is trying also to experiment forms of collaboration and contamination between performing arts and new digital technologies. So I'm very glad to introduce our speaker, Jacob Lacour, with which is very, very interesting experimentation in this field. And very happy to give the floor to Professor Lucio De Paolis, who will coordinate this session and who has organized this session together with Sofia Chiarello, Giada Sumerano, and Carola Gatto of the Augmented and Virtual Reality Lab of the University of Salento. Please, Lucio, thank you.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon to everybody. Thanks a lot to be here with us. I'm very glad, honored to have this afternoon 3 excellent speakers. The first speaker is from Denmark, from Copenhagen. The speaker is, let me open the short biography, is Jacob Lacour. Jacob will do a short presentation about 25 minutes about the extended reality of the performing arts. Jacob Lacour, award winner performing artist, director and Immersion designer of Jacob Lacour studio in Copenhagen, in Denmark, with a master degree in game and interaction design from the Royal Danish Academy of Art and Design. Jacob is specialized in immersive experience and currently works with a mix of performing arts, new technology, mysticism, targeting, thrill-seeking explorers. Jacob has created more than 20 highly interactive projects, like the acclaimed AR and VR ceremony Artificial Airworking in 2021, and the rumor-winning cinematic theater play Luna Seconda in 2021 also. Jacob is engaged in teaching spiritual practice to build a ceremonial multimedia performance and immersive experience from a live audience. Jacob's upcoming performance is working with the relationship to the virtually extended body and the phenomenon of hybrid phantom sensation. He's also director of XR Black Box Extended Reality of the Performing Arts, which explores develops technologies applicable to the performing arts of the future, embracing the use of extended reality. Thanks a lot, Jacob, to be with us today. And the floor is yours. You can start with your presentation.
Thank you so much. I'll just make sure that I can share my stuff here. Let's see here. So you should see my things now.
Yes, perfectly.
Good. Okay. So thank you so much for inviting me here. I'm really happy to be talking about extending the reality of the performing arts, a topic that I've been very deeply involved with the last 7 years. I've been exploring and figuring out like how we can use these new technologies of virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, and other related technologies to question how we showcase performing arts. So I will share with you some of my insights, and I'll just share with you also where I come from and the journey to this place. So one thing that I think is very important to start with is just the whole notion of immersion. Immersion is a very important field to understand. Immersion is about submersing yourself in an environment, and often when you do an immersive act, you experience things change around you. So all of us know the experience of immersing ourselves in water, and we know how it changes our whole state and our whole being, and the rules of our reality and what happens around us changes instantly by just getting that experience. So what we've seen is that immersion is actually a field that has evolved during the last many years, but now it's really taking it's going straight ahead, and especially with new technologies like XR, we see an emerging field here. So people were asked, what do you think of when you hear the word immersive? And what people would say was especially the word interactive. So there's this idea of immersion is very related to the word interactive. And then we also see interesting words like intimate, experiential, storytelling, participatory, and you can see the full list out here. And there is all sorts of other things that are related to this field. And many of these words is directly related to what I'm interested in this field. And I feel that these kind of words and these kind of situation that you can come in with this new practice is so related to what extended reality and performing arts. So all of these things is things that we have to think about now in this new field. So my own journey to this point is that I've been working as a performer, doing performance for many years. It transitioned into me exploring new ways of using the real world as a platform. So I've been exploring different ways of using the city, the countryside, engaging people. I have a master degree in game and interaction design from the Royal Danish Academy of Arts and Design. So my take on this is also very influenced by my own background, not even just my education, but also my childhood, where I played a lot of video games and so on. And here in later on in my life, I wanted to take that kind of approach to reality and see if I could engage people in different game dynamics and so on, and invite them into a more engaging experiencing. But at the same time, I've also been super interested in exploring the classical performing arts disciplines like scenography, light and sound, stage performance, etc. And then slowly beginning to explore how we could implement some of these strategies with the extended reality, like virtual reality you can see here in the corner, into the stage. Yeah, and also been exploring different ways of taking immersive experiences and doing them, digitalizing them just with video, exploring how you can use the city. And then here in 19, I was simultaneously working with new technologies like VR headsets and so on. And I think for me personally, something happened in around 18, 19, where I, for the first time, managed to invite like an audience into the experience and actually be in a virtual world together. So after that, I've been looking into different ways of, again, immersing people. They are laying on vibration floors. We are using blindfolds, and people are actually experience most of it just using headphones. And I did this Luna Secunda piece where we, during the pandemic, where we streamed with 4 different live cameras. Every evening, everything was streamed and performed live. And we would have this gigantic space with like a big apartment space where we had like 7 different rooms that were performed, where people would perform in different rooms, and we would stream from each room and so on. But here it comes. So Artificial Awakening, I think that's the very interesting case for this conversation, because this is directly the first time where I feel that I realized this vision of actually inviting people into a virtual context with a very performative goal of having audiences and performers in the same space actually doing work like that. I will talk much more about that a little later. So I just want to show that I also did Euphoria. And here I want to pinpoint that things are changing. So early on, this was my frame. I would focus on humans for this human-centered experience design, immersive experience design model. So very basically, I just focused on what is the frame and what is the human. Actually, now I'm thinking much more about what is the life form, because I think we have to change our perspective and not be so human-centered, but more life form centered. So we should include plants, we should include animals and other life forms in our thinking when we do work. And I think that is the future for also performing arts and immersive experiences and extended reality technology. So here I just want to pinpoint that also that our understanding of what a human is, I think it's very important to understand that where I come from, it's not just a brain that walks around with 5 senses. It's much more than that. It's expanding consciousness and questioning the boundaries of where our body meets reality. So I have this mystical approach to my work as well, and I'm very into exploring all sorts of different realms. So my own background, I come from a very highly Christian family, and during my childhood, I would be exposed to all sorts of ideas around spiritual parallel worlds with angels and demons and so on. Later on in my life, I kind of put that worldview aside, and I expanded my consciousness and also my view on reality to understand that that there are these unknown mystical aspects of reality, and I think people have talked about these aspects for thousands of years, and somehow during this the last couple of during the like the scientific revolution, we have kind of it's kind of become a taboo to talk about these things, and it's I think there is like an emergence of a post-rational, mystical worldview coming. And I think these extended reality technologies actually almost talk about this. It's like almost inherent in the way that we explore with these new technologies. So these new technologies, they actually open our possibility to manifest things that are not seen with our visual eye, like visually. And it feels like we are beginning to question things like, what is real? What is reality? What is the boundaries of what reality is? It's even in the word extended reality. We're beginning to extend our idea of what reality and what is fiction, what is fantasy, what is actual, real, factual things. And all of this is becoming unclear. At the same time, we are also beginning to question that idea of like consciousness, that it's within the body and so on. And suddenly we begin to see that it's expanding. The states that I'm trying to put people in, because I think what is really important when we work with immersion is to understand that what we're actually doing is that we are guiding people through state shifting experiences. So it's a lot about understanding how do you shift a state in a person. And so that happens when you involve people on stage, because that's what you do when you put a headset on people. They become actors, they become centerpiece. And when that happens, you begin to see that a state of being is changing. And I just want to pinpoint that one of the most beautiful states that you can put people in is playfulness, because it opens wonder, it makes people explore, and that's why I'm really interested in playfulness in general and that particular state. The frame can be so many things. It could be like in Homo Ludens, the stage, the screen, the court, the justice, the court of justice, the tennis court, etc. So there are so many new avenues for what we do and how we stage things, and it has already been like that. But I think that it's part of this revolution that we are questioning, where can we actually stage what we are staging? What is the frame? And that's just an important question. So this is, I don't want to go deep into this because it's way too much, but these are just some of my some of the works that I've been doing in trying to understand this field and trying to develop different methodologies for working within this field. So a lot of things has happened for us to come to this point where we are now. So this is kind of like, I don't want to go deep into the next couple of slides because it's too much, but I just want to show you some glimpses so you can see that there's a lot of things going on for us to be where we are right now. So the history of immersive storytelling, you have like a lot of different revolution coming to the point where we are now with XR technologies. You also see the last 40 years, big revolution within technologies for the mass market. And here we see some of the things that has happened. And lately, this is not updated right now. It's in 2020, but I would also implement something like ChatGPT right now. AI ChatGPT is very important part of this immersive technology story. Then there is something that has influenced my work particularly, and that is these types of art movements. And I think it's not only me that it has influenced, it's a lot of people. And I think these particular art movements are important to understand why we are where we are today. And they can teach us about how to act within this extended reality performing arts field. Then there are these exponential technologies, and these exponential technologies has a huge potential to totally revolutionize our world. And some of them we already see do that right now. And even small incremental changes in each of these areas will influence each other. And all of these definitely influence performing arts right now. So artificial awakening, that's the thing that I wanted to share a little more about. Now, I just want to, 2 seconds, how much time do I have left? Because I can see I've used 14.5 minutes, and I heard that 25 minutes from Lucio, but is it actually 20 minutes, or how are we going?
It's okay, yeah, you can continue, we're not so strict.
Okay, no problem. I just want to respect your time schedule. Okay, very good. So let me talk a little about artificial awakening, because that's the kind of, for me, that right now is my prime example of this field of extended reality performing arts. So what we did was in 2020, we began to talk with the chat, it was not called chat GPT at that time, it was called GPT-3. And you could access with a beta version if you were so lucky, and I was so lucky. So I actually already there at that time began to talk with what is now known as ChatGPT. And what we did was having a conversation with the GPT-3. It was still a little rough in the edge, but it could form sentences and do generative art. What was very crucial at that point was that this new notion of generative AI was coming up, and it was totally changing things. Like we're seeing right now, it's just mind-blowing what's happening these days with AI. But what we did was kind of like taking a VR and AI together, and we had a conversation with AI and asking it, how should we create an experience that can awaken people? And what it did was it told us to make a ceremony, and it actually gave us direct instructions on each step of the way, what we should do and how we should do it. And we asked it further questions like, what type of art should we do? And then we took those suggestions and gave it to image generation AI, and that began to develop the whole piece. So in the end, we came up with this algorithmic ceremony where people would go in, and let me explain a little more about that. So we had like this big team of VR artists and AI artists, and also classical things like sound designer, composer, scenographer, and so on. But I realized fairly quickly that it's almost like a combination of a tech company and a performing arts company. You have to think of those two things. And you also have to think about like, how do you structure your development process? And what we did was that we took a couple of months to develop the app that people would be in. And then we did more the classical approach, where we had like a 3-week rehearsal and then the premiere and so on. So that's super important when you do this, is that you prepare the technical setup before you actually do the rehearsals. So here it's just a little glimpses. Do you hear the sound? Okay.
Yes, we have a sound.
Good. So I'm just going to talk a little while we see it, but basically what we did was that we invited people into this experience, and then when they came in, they would explore this experience together, and they would be able to see their own hands and the participants' hands and heads, and they could interact with each other and interact with the world and change things and see the performer in the middle doing different performances for the audience. And this was also happening on 4 different locations at the same time. So we were able to remotely invite people to the same virtual space by just having these blue circles, different places. We had like 4 different theaters, and they would, audience would come to each theater and then meet up in the virtual environment and explore the virtual environment together. And here you see like an interaction where they're actually, so that interaction of like touching each other, like that was people on from different venues. interacting with each other, exploring that kind of very sensory world. For me, it was important that it had that kind of sensory approach. And I think that's important, an important thing that the performing arts community can come with, this very sensory approach to how we engage with technology, because they need that. I don't think the big tech companies really have a deep understanding of the sensory aspects. At least that's not what we see in the presentation of their technologies. Okay, so here you can see like a diagram of how people would stand on different locations, and then each of them would actually meet together in this bigger virtual environment. And we had like a whole ceremony. I don't have time to go deeply into that, but I can just show you a couple of glimpses. So people would start by sacrificing their face to this AI, and there would be like a ceremonial introduction, and people would come in like in small teams, continuously just being put into the experience. This again, the AI wanted people to eat worms because it was it said that it was the way for people to understand how to do this metamorphosis transformation. So of course we listened to this AI and did it. So, and we also had like all sorts of different characters, like the synchronizer. So the synchronizer would make sure that every headset was calibrated and up and running. And so on. So yeah, here's a couple of glimpses from inside. And here you see like the audience engage with a virtual element. And here again, you see how they play with each other. So this is happening because there are people on different locations and on location, so you don't actually know if the hands are represented by people who are there or not. So that would encourage you to explore stuff like this. Yes, and the AI would transform people in the end. So after it had used these faces, it would take these faces and imagine people would get thousands of years old, and that's why you see this almost mold face here in the end. So in a way, you invited people, you invited the AI to also do live things with people in the room. Yes. So we also explored a version where people were, where the performer was in Copenhagen and the audience was in Amsterdam. So a lot of new ways of exploring this medium. There's a lot of potential. We have done a little test of it, but of course, an obvious, very important thing would be to just do the whole thing in virtual reality, and people with their own headsets just joining in on the performing arts experience. I have been, at this point, I've been mostly interested in how you can mix those realities. So you're having the scenography and the performers in the physical experience and inviting them in, and then playing around with that. And that's still what I'm mostly interested in. But I know already that it's gonna be a thing that you are building completely virtual worlds where people will join in entirely virtual productions in to see performing arts. Yeah, this is more technical, so I'm not going into that. Yes, so this was actually the main thing that I wanted to share with you. And here, before I end, I just want to tell you that right now I'm working on my next piece. It has premiere in October, and it's called Hybrid Sensation. And what we're doing here is we are giving people a full body. So you can actually, on my Instagram, you can get a little glimpse of it. Here is one thing where you can see like this full body. So the audience will have a full body instead, and this iridescent body will be the main exploration. So my interest right now is very much in what is the body and what is the boundaries of our body, and can we extend our thinking and our perception around what our body is. And what I've realized is that if you give people an avatar body, that will naturally happen, because with all these interesting glitches between where you see your avatar body with the headset and where you see your actual body, and all those sensations are really interesting. There's a new phenomenon called phantom sensation, which is something we all know from phantom pain. So when people lose a limb, they get cut their hand or something, they still can feel pain in, for example, a thumb or something. This phenomenon is not just within pain, it's also other sensations, so pleasurable sensations. And what we've realized is that this phenomenon is very present in virtual worlds. So people, if something is done to your avatar body in a virtual setting, you will feel it in your physical body. And that whole environment is very interesting because it opens up a lot of questions about perception and so on. So that's what we are exploring in hybrid sensation. Yeah, but yeah, I'm very interested in exploring different collaborations, both for academia, arts, and so on. I think this field has tremendous potential for cross-disciplinary collaborations. We need that. It's so complicated and it needs so diverse understanding that we need new ways of thinking collaborations as well. So I also hope that is something this community and other communities will open up to, that we go into a much more collaborative approach. And I think another thing that I'm working on now is creating a platform where we have more diverse and sharing technologies, because a lot of people is sitting different places and trying to solve the same issues. So I think it's very important that we share this knowledge so we can just quickly go past those problems and actually do the art and share the art. Yeah. So thank you so much for attention. And if you want to know more about my work, you can go to jakoblecour.com, and there you'll find more about my art practice and so on. So thank you so much for joining here and listening in.
Thanks a lot, Jacob. Very interesting, the use of extended reality in this way in performing arts. Just if there are some questions for the audience, because I have a couple of questions for you, but probably it's best to start with the audience. Is there some question to Jacob about this very interesting use of extended reality? No, probably not.
I have a question.
Okay, perfectly.
It's just because it's extremely interesting, that kind of experience and extending the experience. But I'm just asking myself about the possibility to explore the tools. I mean, how much technologically advanced it is. I mean, how much it is accessible to people who want to experiment with this, even not on that level, but on any level of that, especially the phantom feelings and the interaction between persons who are not together, but they somehow could interact. These tools are somehow, you mean, easy tools at the moment, or this is very, very advanced and very costly?
I think it's actually fairly accessible. So you can get a Quest 2 headset, which is it's kind of like a consumer friendly prices. And what you see here on the shared screen is actually a Quest 2. So we use these very consumer friendly headsets, and there are already applications like VR chat is a very famous one, where you can go into all sorts of worlds and interact with the people and so on. So, and you can already get those types of first experiences. And I've seen a lot of people use VR chat for prototyping these types of experiences. So that's one way. There are also many other ways where you can find like different types of content for free.
Yeah, thank you. But I'm just asking for the kind of, the first steps that you can want to explore this kind of way of thinking, because it's as I said, extremely interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions for the audience?
Lucio, I have also questions, but I think I will make them in the second part when the live streaming will be off, and we can share with the internal participants, if you agree.
Okay. Are there the next speakers are connected?
Yeah, they are here. Thank you so much, Jacob. Very intriguing work and very interesting. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot again. And I'm very glad to introduce the other two speakers for the second presentation, two Italian speakers, Ariella Vidach and Claudio Prati. The title of the presentation is The Body in the Virtual Universe. Ariella Vidach and Claudio Prati are the founder members of the Cultural Association and Contemporary Dance Company Ariella Vidach, which has represented the cultural and productive reality in the field of new technologies applied to performing arts science 1996. Created in Switzerland in 1988, the Cultural Association, that AiEP, that is an acronym for Adventure in Helicopter Products, was born from the communion of interactions of a group of artists from different backgrounds, interested in carrying out research projects in the field of multimedia visual arts, and in developing an expressive language that draw from the most diverse artist field: dance, music, video, art, and design. In more than 2 decades of activity, this cultural association artist journey has explored the use of interactive media in growing complexity, from the use of the stage video projection to almost invisible sensors worn by performers, via motion capture, computer graphics. The relationship between body, choreography, and interactive systems has been thinning, and the interfacing between art and technology has become increasingly defined and suggestive. Okay, I am very glad to have these two speakers for the second presentation. The floor is yours, Ariella, Claudio. You have about 20-25 minutes for your presentation.
Thank you. Do you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And do you see the screen?
I see the screen, but it's better to go in presentation, please.
Yes, please. It will be right now.
Okay, perfect now.
Okay, so.
Claudio wants, maybe he can introduce briefly the association, because our reality is actually quite old. We've been working with technology since I would say the early '90s, and starting from then, we did works with interactive technology. So we came to virtual reality recently, like in about 2-3 years. And now, just to give a brief idea of what was our main concern, we come from body, we come from space, because my background was a dancer and a choreographer, and we've worked a lot with performing art, and connected with machine in a sense that interactive system. So cameras that were detecting the bodies, and relation that were developed by body and machine, which were creating sound in real time, creating images in real time. So we can introduce briefly our history.
Yes, so you see our list of dance production. We can say that we have 3 periods. The first period is more about interactive dance using interactive system made by ourselves. We started in 96 till I think around the 2000 years. We discover and we develop some software and some interactive system. After that period, we discover the sound. We can say we had a second period about research regarding more the sound system, and we started a third period interesting our research or orienting our research more in robotics and in virtual worlds. So we can say that we can show something. Are you hearing? There is a sound. Okay, that is a very short story.
No sounds at the moment, Claudio.
So can you hear me?
We can hear the video, but we don't hear any sound, any audio.
So we explore more media and more interactive software, starting from the most used software like Max MSP, like VVV, or all the visual and the audio software that we could connect and we could use as an interactive system. So after a while, we start a new project called Dance the Distance that were more about the virtual reality. And about this work, can Ariella explain how is the focus of our research on virtual worlds and the virtual reality field?
Yes, Dance the Distance was created after the pandemic period, because everybody had to live in an isolation situation. So we imagined to create a dance company, but in a virtual set. So we explored this idea, and we, thanks to some of the collaborators, because we must say that we are not technicians, but we usually work with people that collaborate with us, asking them to realize what we were imagining. And in this case, you can see some of the setting, very minimal, I would say, because the idea was to relate a performer that you could see on stage with other 2 performers that were dancing somewhere else, geographically placed in different areas. And we created a very simple dance performance, but it was related basically to the contact. In fact, a virtual touch means that we are able to feel. Mean it's a kind of a very wide term, because you feel, but you can, as Jacob was saying before, you can almost perceive. So it's a trick, but it's a trick that you believe in, and you feel in a very extraordinary way the contact with the other person. And what happened exploring virtual reality, and this you see, it's one of the example, was that one day with our collaborator, I enter in a Mozilla hub in Mozilla area. And I realized he was there and talking to me, like obviously how can I say, the avatar he had was totally different from what we designed in the past production. But my feeling was that the sense was that he was there anyway. He was there with me in that moment, although he wasn't at all present. So therefore, we decided to develop an application which was realized with Unity, and trying to be so essential, because we didn't want to load the system, because the object or the goal was to create a reality very comfortable and not threatened by the fact that it was not so simple and so light to have an interesting real experience. So the body here is not a whole body, but as you can see, is a head and a torso with hands. Hands are extremely expressive, so they can communicate. They can express all the feeling that the performer has. And in this case, you see that the hands are extremely detailed, because they're hands with a texture that was created by the Unity. So the experience was, and it still is, a very strong and very interesting experience we have with the other performers. Why we choose this, and what we are now looking for. I was very interested in what Jacob was saying, because everybody that is exploring the virtual reality, extended reality, which is a more correct terms in his case, encounter all these questions. And definitely, what is the body is a very strong question, and how you can represent this body is a very strong question. My feeling inside of this experience is definitely very strong when I am in contact with the space and with the rest of the people that are inside. I don't realize what my body is, except for my hands, because I'm not perceiving my body, although I perceive the movement. And that therefore is very important that your body is involved in the experience. I'm a dancer, and I work a lot, not learning or teaching movement, but I work a lot on feeling what the body is connected with. And what he was talking about spirituality. I don't go for spirituality that is coming from a religion, but I come from a sense of art as a spiritual experience, because you do go into a direction that is totally not material. It's experiential, and it's enhancing your senses. But your senses are not just the five we have, but there are much more, a proprioception of what is the experience of who is constantly connecting with the body. And I must say that it's quite an important aspect that I forgot to say, that I've practiced a dance that is called contact improvisation, which I don't know if any of you knows. I don't know if the people that are involved in this conversation is experienced with the dance field, but I explained a few things about the contact improvisation. I saw that. Jacob, you know contact improvisation? Yeah,
definitely.
It's a dance that is created by two bodies or even more bodies. Basically, it's created by in American in this early 70s, Steve Paxson, and he was actually talking about how important is the movement, and the first duet is really with the floor. So your connection with the floor teaches you how to move, how to respond to the push of your body that has weight, because there is a gravity in our earth. So the sense of weight on you and on the other people. So the connection, the contact with another person is creating a dance. And it's made with solving problems, balancing constantly, find a strong connection with the other dancer, and it's in real time. So it's an improvisation. This is very, very, very important aspect, because even digital technology is a real time. We've done many, many different experiments with different other type of technology, and it's always very important to be able to respond to the present. So it's a strong training for a user of any kind of technology, because it has to be extremely awake about the present, and so solve the problem, but also be in contact and in touch with everything that is happening, either with man or people, with human being or machine. So this strong experience had created for my developing of the research a background that I believe it's very, very essential, because if I wasn't coming from that type of experience, I wouldn't have been so able to connect with the reality, with the virtual reality, and also with the technology.
So the Dance the Distance project gave us a very different and many various results, outputs, we create a virtual studio and a virtual art gallery of our dance productions, and we still have these platforms on Mozilla Hub that is possible to visit. Is a path of our artistic and technological research in 10 steps. So we have the virtual studio. This is the productions platform that you can visit. You can see our short video demo. So we have a virtual studio in Mozilla Hub, who Ariella can make virtual dance, contemporary dance classes. And we still working on what we call Phygital, is a dance performance between different reality. Augmented, expanded, extended, mixed realities, and we still working on interactive. We're still working on real time. We are trying to work every time in real time, having the physical presence of the dancers, the physical interaction in real time of the technology, and we still having some, we still searching for new performing formats and an interaction in real time with virtual avatars and with virtual objects and words. And we still working with low-tech technology, accessible and sustainable technology. So we still work with old technology like sensors and accelerometers.
This was already on.
This is a vintage world, and we work also with robots, using the robots, the robotic arm as a dancer on stage. And we have these last dance productions working on the Kinect as a motion capture, low-tech motion capture system. We're working in real time with the avatar. So that is, if you want to add something, Ariella, or we can have a question regarding our work.
You were very fast about this. I wanted to also add that we've been doing some labs and with the virtual reality. So we invite people to enter inside of this virtual space. And what we do with what I do with the dancers. So I dance with two other dancers at distance. We made a laboratory inviting people to participate. So there is a very interesting experience that we realized we found quite astonishing because the people changes completely their attitude when they are inside of the space. Often we see awkward men coming really big and not too comfortable with the body. They enter inside the virtual reality with their hands, and I start dancing with them, and they are so available in letting them be touched, and then they start dancing, and they start to lose their inhibition about their bodies, and they go on the floor, they rise, and they do things that they would never have a chance to do in real life. So this is, to me, it's a very interesting aspect that should be explored. And some other thing, also the dance class that I teach inside of the space is also another astonishing experience, because they can fly, they just overcome the limits of their body, but to me, they overcome the limits of the body that they think to have. Because in this connection, do you hear the sound? You don't hear the sound.
Yeah.
This connection is always there you are. This is some of the experience that people have done, because I believe the presence of the body should be real. So to me, it's very important that there is a space for them to move. Otherwise, I don't believe much in the virtual reality where you sit and you feel that there is something around you that is moving, but I feel that the body should participate actively. And that's another interesting things that happened to me. Like one person, one of the user during a laboratory came to me and said, but your headset is different from the others. This was like a fair of virtual reality. So he had a possibility to experiment many other installation. And he came to me asking me if there was something different about my headset. And I said, why? Because he said, I didn't feel sick after working in your installation, when I felt really sick watching all the rest. So I felt maybe there was a difference in your headset. And I said, no, it's different because you've moved your body, and your body learned how to recreate a new balance, a new set of the environment. Okay, this is another aspect. Like this is very, it's fun. This is really an amusing experience we had in Mozilla Hub, where people were thrilled by meeting the other, and we taught some steps. We don't hear the sound, but there is this is designed as I design a dance class. I've been teaching for about 30 years, so I have a very strong experience with groups, and this was like guided as a dance class. So there was a first part where we met, a second part where we improvised, a third part where we taught some steps, third part where people connected one with the other, and then a possibility of flying, which is something that in a dance class you don't do at all. But in this condition, it was really fun. Everybody was very, very happy, and we had a great time. Also, the avatar are quite funny and empathic, and it's also fantastic to enter into the space,
the floor, dancing through the
and find yourself.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Ariella. Thanks a lot, Claudio, for your presentation. We have time just for one question for the audience.
Yes, we have time, Lucio, and especially we can go to the second part, so to end the live streaming and then continue only for the participants in Zoom for the questions to our guests, if you agree, so that we can have a kind of more informal talk with them and open to the questions.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So I would also like to thank very much Jacob Lacour, Ariella Vidach, and Claudio Prati for their very interesting presentations and their intriguing experimentations. And now we will make the questions. We have many questions, I think, personally, I do have. And I would like to remind for tomorrow, the masterclasses continue at 11 with the Professor Samuela Pagani. She will speak about Forgotten Queens, Revered Rebels, Women in Islamic Imagery. It's a masterclass on women, myth, and theater. And then we will continue in the afternoon with the Professor Miroslav Kocur with the masterclass Theater Ecology Site-Specific. First one organized by Astragali Teatro, second one organized by Grotowski Institute. So thank you very much to our guests for this extremely interesting masterclass. And now I beg you to remain in the Zoom meeting so that we can make you further questions. Thank you to the people who followed us in live streaming.